It is I, my friends in the pipe smoking community, pipe smokers of Ireland. It is the PipePastor here. I lived, still getting well, but I'm feeling pretty good. Today, in this glorious day in Fresno, California, we're about 70, 72 degrees today. Very nice. Excuse me for a minute. I'm smoking a Hein Peterson P-Lip, gifted to me by my young friend Michael Rizzo. Isn't she a beauty? I don't know what you'd call it. It's almost like a Dublin billiard or something. I don't know what that would be. Silver sterling fitment. Just a beautiful pipe. Beautiful little thing. And I'm smoking the tobacco that Michael sent me. It's a Planta, made by Planta, I guess. And it's called After Dinner. And it's a 2010 Tobacco of the Year, about as rare as Rocking Horse. It looks like shitter, but I know that's not what he meant, so it could be Rocking Horse shit. I'm not sure, Michael, what the heck it says, but so far that's the second that he sent me that I've tried. I tried Pirate's Cake from Cornell and Deal, and oh man, I love that. Loved it. Love this stuff so far. Very pleasant. And once again, off of Michael's tutelage on how to enjoy Englishes, not expecting it to be the nice, sweet, thick taste that I get from Black Gold Plus, I've learned to judge it rather more graciously and enjoy it. Very nice. Most of the people that I sent the tobacco samples to, Black Gold Plus, Pete's Moss, and Snowflake, a lot of which was gifted to me by Scott at HighlandCigars.com for that very purpose. The tally came back, and quite a few people said that they preferred Pete's Moss. They liked it a lot. They liked everything else, but they loved the peat moss. Kind of a cherry infused Black Gold, which is basically black Cavendish. So that was a lot of fun. And Michael, I'll be sending you your pipe back here pretty soon with I'm going to gift you with a pipe. So we keep on, the goodness just keeps flowing on, and encourage all of you to dip into your stores, dip into your stash, and send some tobacco to other brothers and sisters in the pipe smoking community of Ireland, pipe smokers of Ireland. And let's just keep the goodness going, and let's all taste what each other's smoking. Very nice. Very good. Well, today I want to talk to you a little bit about cellaring. Since joining the Pipe Smokers of Ireland community, I've found just how ignorant I am. On my YouTube videos, PipePastor, you know, some of those guys think I'm a guru when it comes to pipe smoking and stuff. And as I broadened myself out a little bit and started to, you know, just be members of other pipe smoking groups, is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Some of the guys' collections just dwarf mine. Although I'd argue that mine have more high end than theirs, but they just, except for Kier, they just dwarf mine, and then their knowledge and their language is so much better than mine, because I just tinker a bit. I've just been smoking pipe for 30 years, is all. As far as real knowledgeable about things, I'm not, because I haven't expanded my rotation of tobaccos. I basically hung out with Black Gold forever, and for reasons I shared in my last video. Then Scott told me about Black Gold Plus, so I tried that. Love that too. And then of course Pete's Moss. And I've spread out a little bit here and there over time, but basically have limited myself to those and buy them in bulk. So I'm going to share a little bit with you today on storage, but nowhere as knowledgeable as probably some, if not most, of the other guys on this site. So let's get down to some preliminaries. About pipe storage, tobacco storage. And basically, I want to answer a couple questions. What is cellaring? How not to cellar? And some cellaring options. And so let me tell you what I know about these things, and use this as a preliminary for some of you guys that want to go to other sites. I have a site I prefer, kind of a new pipe guru of mine. His moniker is Post-Human Piper, and I'll tell you a little bit about him in just a minute. Well, excuse me. What is cellaring? And probably of all the ways to enjoy tobaccos, arguably the most artsy-fartsy way to do it is by being a pipe smoker. Not only is pipe smoking the most healthy way of enjoying tobacco, but as one continues to grow in developing the skills necessary to maximize your enjoyment of the pipe and prolong your enjoyment of the pipe, you kind of take on a certain artsy flair, artistic flair, if you will, to the way you smoke your pipe. You learn secrets on how to keep it lit, how to puff it, and tamp it, so on and so forth. And arguably, the pipe, after all, is, I think, a certain work of art in and of itself. Now, I have a friend who's a pipe maker and probably makes some of the most artistic pipes you can imagine, and his name is Trevor Talbert, T-A-L-B-E-R-T. You go to his site, his pipes are absolutely fantastic pieces of artwork, and he doesn't think that pipes are basically an artwork as much as he thinks they're a work of engineering. This is from one of the most artistic pipe makers there is. I think that pipes generally are themselves a work of art. And from the bowl to the shank to the stem to the bit to the color of the stain, to the intricacies of the carving in the pipe, whether it's smooth or sandblasted or rusticated, or like Larry Roush's specials, which are rusticated and sandblasted. He calls them his specials. Pipe makers are engineers, they're artists, they're craftsmen of the highest caliber. And pipe tobacco, I think, is also in itself a work of art. It's absolutely something that belongs in at least the category of craftsmanship. Tobacconeers are incredible. They blend tobaccos for unique flavors, room notes, and I think it's amazing. And I think they're very skilled, especially when you see how many are out there, and especially when you consider the ones that make their tobaccos out of non-aromatics. They're just using regular tobaccos to eke out all of these flavors and all of these nuances and all these profiles. I think it's incredible. So it goes without saying then that care in the storing of your pipe tobacco, because pipe tobacco isn't cheap. It's an act of responsible stewardship in maximizing and prolonging the enjoyment of any given tobacco that you like, that you enjoy. Excuse me. So the term itself, cellaring, is borrowed from wine enthusiasts who, cellar their favorite vintages, and so pipe tobaccos are treated by pipe aficionados like a fine wine, and the storing of pipe tobaccos requires a certain kind of care, no less care to enjoy than perhaps keeping wines. Hence, we use the term cellaring when talking about the storage of our beloved leaf. And no, you don't need to have a cellar to store your tobacco. We're not saying you have to have a cellar to cellar your tobacco. However, having a nice man room or man cave, well, that's almost a non-negotiable, and I'm working on it. I'd like to have one. There's basically a trifecta of 3 reasons for cellaring your tobacco: aging, availability, economics. Aging, availability, and economics. Now, when we talk about aging, some tobaccos over time, a period of time that you keep them in storage, their flavor will change, their chemistry, it will change. You could call it mellowing, their profile could shift, however you want to say it, but they change in the storage or in the cellaring of those particular tobaccos, and some people find this desirable because basically that change is desirable, except for aromatics. Aromatics, the flavor of aromatics, the casings of aromatics do not improve usually over time, over long periods of time. Could improve over a short period of time a little bit, but over long periods of time, aromatics do not react well to aging. In fact, aging or storing aromatics will lessen the impact of their strong flavors over time, which may again be desirable for some people, but as a rule, aromatics react less favorably to storage. Virginias react most favorably to storage, especially the more Virginias that there are. If you've got something that's just all Virginias, all the better in the way that it's going to react to storage. Going to be a quiz afterwards, so which tobaccos do not react well to storing? Aromatics. Which react the best? Virginias. And then secondly, availability. Pipe tobaccos can become extinct. And there's been some really exquisite tobaccos I've heard of of yesteryear that new pipe smokers will never be able to enjoy. I think that's been the case with Three Nuns, at least the original. This is certainly the case when it comes to Syrian tobaccos. And so, you know, there's people that would talk about the deliciousness of Syria, the superiority of those. They're not available to us anymore. So, once you find an exquisite, wonderful tobacco, like the one that Michael got me here, you know, the pipe tobacco that Michael got me here, that was the tobacco of the year in 2010, and here we are in 2015, 5 years later, and I'm able to enjoy something that he could probably only explain to me if he wasn't kind enough to have stored some of it and sent me some of it. So, finding some really good tobacco and cellaring that tobacco, especially unopened, to enjoy years down the line, will do a couple of things. Number one, you got it so you can enjoy it. Number two, you're enjoying something that perhaps will never be made again, isn't available again. I think that's pretty cool. And then thirdly is economics. Pipe tobacco prices are always rising. The tobacco that you have today, you'll never be able to buy it as cheap as you bought it today. And so that's the trifecta of why people cellar their tobaccos. Aging improves most tobaccos, availability, and economics. Now, to the question, what is cellaring? For some, cellaring is simply storing unsmoked pipe tobacco. If you open a tin of pipe tobacco, that you have more left over than you were able to smoke, so you're going to close up the tin and you're going to store that tin in some kind of container with other tins, let's say, something that you may smoke later on. To these people, that's cellaring. And, you know, there's no Nazis around. There's no pipe police around that's going to arrest you for saying that that's cellaring. So storing tobacco, basically, that's been opened and has been sampled or smoked a little bit and then put back. Some people call that cellaring. You may burn through that tin in the next month. Or you might forget that tin, let it bury underneath a bunch of other tins for a while, and then discover it a couple years later. To some people, they say that's their cellar tobacco. You've got to remember, like in any hobby, there's people in the hobby itself that take it real seriously. The artsy fartsies, if you will. And the artsy fartsies would take issue with that term of cellaring being associated with opened and smoked tobaccos. For them, any pipe tobacco that has not been opened but has been purchased and set aside for the purpose of aging, availability, or economics, as well as storage, that pipe tobacco is considered cellared. The other pipe tobacco, the ones that have been opened and smoked and then set aside to be opened and smoked later on as well, they would consider that to be rotating or rotation of your pipe tobacco. So your rotation then consists of your previously opened and smoked pipe tobacco that you keep in storage and you go back to from time to time to enjoy, whilst unopened and unsmoked stored tobacco is considered to be, in the purest sense of the word, cellared. If you want to hear somebody speak about this that's very knowledgeable, has done some time in this, and is one of the nicest guys to listen to, I really, really, really enjoy this guy. It's a posthuman, one word, posthuman, capital P, Piper. And he's got a series of 3 videos that he does on YouTube called his cellaring series. Absolutely incredible. And if I were you, excuse me again, don't mean to cough in your face. If I were you, man, I would go listen to everything he has to say, especially when it comes to parts 2 and 3, where he talks about all kinds of different tobaccos and how they age and what happens to them, what have you. The best to age, the best not. He's the one to go to, because I don't have that kind of experience in all kinds of different kinds of tobaccos and everything, and so I'd be just talking out the wazoo if I was talking to you about something like that. You go to Posthuman Piper and take a look around, man. He's got lots of videos. The guy's incredible. Really enjoy him. We talk about what not to do when it comes to storing or cellaring your tobacco. Don't store your pipe tobacco with those nasty cigars. Cigars are basically sponges, and they'll absorb all the moisture, any of the aromas, any of the flavors, anywhere near the vicinity of storage that you put them in next to pipe tobacco. Eventually, you're going to influence your cigars with the aroma and the taste of your pipe tobacco anyway. It'll vampire suck the life out of your pipe tobacco and take on those characteristics itself. Secondly, do not store your pipe tobacco in a cigar humidor, for the reasons that humidors run about somewhere around 10-14% relative humidity, and that's way too high for your pipe tobacco. Do not store pipe tobacco in cigar humidors. It'll get too moist, it'll grow mold. Thirdly, don't add moisture, if you can help it, when cellaring for long periods of time your pipe tobacco. Most especially, do not do that with aromatics that are already moist, and they're already moist enough. Because if you do that, your pipe tobacco will become virtually unsmokable over time, because it'll grow mold. And once you get mold on your pipe tobacco, you got to throw it out. You have to toss it. Dry's better than too moist, and anything is better than having to throw away expensive pipe tobacco. So don't do it. Fourthly, of course, someone's always going to have an exception to the rule. Granted, this is 80-20%. And then fourthly, do not use pickle jars or any kind of storage, Tupperware jars, plastic jars, pickle jars that have stored food or anything else in it. I'm picking on pickle jars because even though the glass in the pickle jar can be somewhat sterilized, there's rubber around the lid that will absorb all of the odors associated with the pickling in the pickle jar, and that rubber lid will send out all of that odor and so forth and so on in your pipe tobacco, and your pipe tobacco will actually remember that and taste like pickles. And so you're not going to be able to get rid of the pickle odors in a pickle jar's lid. Now, let me give you the trifecta on how to store your tobacco. These are the rules in storing or cellaring your tobacco. Temperature, humidity, and light. Those are the things that you have to pay attention to when you're cellaring your tobacco. Temperature, humidity, and light. The ideal storage for pipe tobacco is cool in a dark place that doesn't have or experience a lot of temperature fluctuation, doesn't get a lot of light. Ideally, you want a range of between 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity does play a factor, which is why you're going to need to store your tobacco always in a airtight container. Tupperware is not considered airtight container. An airtight container is most preferably something glass or absolutely very thick in its plastic content. The plastic itself can be absorbent, so it's not ideal. Glass is ideal. It should have a locking lid on it that has a rubber seal, or what would you call it, gasket, what have you. I have one here, I'll show you in a minute. It has a little clip on it that seeks, you can almost go, and it's just airtight, and you got to have it airtight. That's the key. If you're going to store it for more than 2-3 months, if you're going to store something 4, 5, 6 years, then you want to have something that's absolutely airtight, or just don't open the tin. Just don't open it. But as long as the vacuum seal is on the lid and you can pretty much guarantee that it'll be airtight, it's ideal for storing your pipe tobacco. Again, don't store pipe tobacco for any length of time in light or a place that's going to fluctuate in terms of temperature. As long as the vacuum seal is not broken, your tin will keep for a very long period of time too. Gosh, there's guys that have kept their tins, unopened tins, 5, 6, 7 years. Tobacco is good. Now, I prefer, although I have quite a few containers that I purchased from pipesmokers.com, pipesandcigars.com, excuse me. Most of mine are made from ball or mason or ball jars, and those are my preferred. I get them ready by washing them in extremely hot water, hot soapy water, the lids and everything. Get the rubber thing out. It's just hot as you can get it. You wash it all down, get it all ready, just like you would if you were getting it ready for canning. Sterilize them the best you can, and that's about it. Here's one that's not as good, but Lane sells these, and I keep some in here. This locks. It's got a rubber seal here. You press that down, it's sunk. Wham! That sucker's airtight. I'm going to give you an actual demonstration. I mean, it's going to get real right now. Actual demonstration of the proper professional technique of storing tobacco. Here's a pound of peach moss. It's an aromatic. Oh my gosh. Woo! Ah, that's good, brother. That is good. Okay. I am now dumping the peach moss into said container. Notice how I'm doing it. Notice the technique. Notice the skill level. Obviously, I've been doing this many years. You're not going to be able to do it that good at the beginning, but with constant practice, bam. Press it down a little bit, get the air out of there. Notice the closing of the lid. Wham! Cellared. Yes, I know. It's been opened, but it hasn't been smoked. It's in bulk. It's cellared. I'm going to put this in a steel bin that I have in my garage so that is always out of the light. It gets hot here in Fresno in the summer, but this will probably keep it pretty fresh for the whole year. I'll be running low on about 10 of those by December, when I usually order in bulk again from Highlands. Years ago, I didn't know what I was doing, and I bought a bunch of these contraptions. This is a humogrifier, and they're sold by Savinelli. And basically, you just drop this in water and you soak it up. It soaks up some water. It's like a big sponge. And it heats up and it kind of gives off humidity. You can put these in the jar that you're going to put it in, and it's magnetic so that this seals against the side of your jar. And what happened is I made my tobacco too wet, because aromatics do not need moisture. And here's all I have. I bought 10 of them. 10 jars, almost ruined, because I was adding moisture to aromatics. Do not add moisture to aromatics. I got to get out of here, man. It's getting late. So, the only other thing I can tell you to do is create a plan on cycling your tobaccos, create a plan on smoking your tobaccos, and keep it dated so that you know when you opened it and when you smoked them. This is for when you're storing your tobacco. Cellaring is also, we're talking about storing as well. You store your tobacco just like you cellar it. But the Archies don't like us to call it that. I got a couple of personal favors for you guys. One of our members, Gordon Robinson's son David, has cancer, and he's had to undergo a serious operation, and it's too personal to talk to you about, but pretty bad. So please keep David, Gordon's son, in your prayers and your thoughts, and David and Gordon himself and his wife, his family. His son is about 40. He's got 2-3 young kids. It's about as bad as you can get. And so they need your prayers. We ask that you uphold your brethren in prayers. Nick, my son Nick Boldo Donahue, his wife Alicia, continues to be very ill. He doesn't have any more time to get off of work. Has a young child at home. There's just a lot of challenges going on there. I'd appreciate the same, your thoughts and prayers for them as well, and we'd appreciate it. I know you guys will do it too, and so you guys and gals. So it's been 33 minutes. I got to get out of here. So until the next video coming at you, the next time I'll be talking about the man camp. We're going to have the man camp July the 30th, 31st, and August the 1st. At Tamarack Ridge here. Those of you that are out of state, please consider coming. Michael, I want to see you there. Consider coming, and I'll make arrangements for you as far as cost, about camping. I'll get everything situated for you. All you have to do is get your behinds over here for the man camp. Man camp's coming July the 30th, 31st, and August the 1st. That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning. We'll see you later. God bless you all. Sláinte.